Wriggles clear. Might just get the chip, and he does. He's scored. Oh, what a great goal! He's done it. Oh, brilliant play! Wiggling his way. That's an excellent ball. And Didi. It's a goal. Four for Clydebank. Excellent play by Hughes. I think the player of the match, and sweetly finished by Kenny.
In this week's episode, we welcome to the show returning guest Andy Cameron. I'm joined with Tom Brogan and Simon Weir for part 2. Enjoy.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the Phil Thompson, My Soccer World. So just quickly, briefly on this one, he says that the way things are developing in Spain, the World Cup is likely to be won or lost on a free kick. From what he's seen so far, every team is specialising on set pieces. Now, remind me, this was a New Zealand game, the one that we did that pushing.
Yeah.
Right. And then obviously against Brazil there was a free kick or two there. So you're spotting the money there.
Aye, the Zico one.
Yeah.
In the Brazil game, Alan Ross got a great story about it. He says that the ball Zico took it, a rocket, and it come off the bar, and Socrates ran in and headed it, and Ruff turned the header round the post for the corner, and they're lining up for the corner, and Socrates says, "What a save that was, fantastico." Big Ruff said, "I was actually going for the first one."
Right.
But that is the team. That's what made me fall in love with football. Was that Brazil 82 team? Every single one of them was like movie stars.
Yeah, well, the 71 was a great team as well, Simon.
Yeah.
They beat Italy 4-1 in the final.
Absolutely.
Pele was magnificent, and Carlos Alberto, the right back.
Brazinho, all of them.
And Tostal, and terrific. And then, if you want to go further back, I saw the European Cup final 1960. And you had the
Puskas and
Real Madrid beat Eintracht Frankfurt 7-3, and Eintracht Frankfurt had beaten Rangers 12-4 in aggregate over the two games. And they had players like Santa Maria and Hento, Puskas and Di Stefano.
Yeah.
Di Stefano was a magnificent player.
And to see them at Hampden Park, unbelievable. It was kind of like the Zidane one of that generation, really.
Right.
When he came,
he scored a goal. Yeah,
just the best of the best of the best.
But see the 1960 European final. The strange thing I remember about it was that there was the Hampden Roar was always famous.
Yeah,
and it didn't appear that night because Real Madrid and Eintracht were so good. They played such pure football that they were applauded. There was no roar. They were applauded. All you could hear was clapping. It was fantastic.
Here's a question about that final, because it seems every man and his dog went to that final. But how many Eintracht Frankfurt and Real Madrid fans were there, or was it just really just Scottish people?
Yeah, well, all I could see was bonnets, and I don't think the Spaniards and the Germans wore bonnets at that time.
Yeah.
There was 120,000 or something. Right. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And it was just how can I put it? It was an exhibition.
Yeah, total football then, wasn't it? Yeah.
Aye.
But was that a regular thing with the European competitions and things, like when they went to different countries? It would be mostly fans from that country that went.
I would say, well, I think Celtic and Rangers had good travelling supports. I couldn't mention any of the rest of them. I don't really know.
Yeah.
It's just we keep saying that football has changed, but so has following football changed.
Yeah, totally changed. Yeah.
There's a thing that really annoys me. If you go to like Rangers go to Pittodrie, if I don't get a seat in the stand, I don't go, because see in the terrace there's seats, but they don't sit in them. They stand up.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, they're standing up. in spite of the seats.
Yeah.
And I've never understood that, you know. It's okay when you're 6'5", but no when you're like me, 5'6". It's
We'll get you down the front.
exactly.
Yeah.
The
Excuse
boys
me.
gate. You can still get in the boys' gate.
Well, exactly. I still get lifted out, Simon.
You still lifting them on a turnstile.
I remember
Told you, he's eternally young.
there was a guy at Dens Park one day. I've never seen a guy as big as this in my life.
Right.
And I says, do me a favour. I says, could you stand at my back? I said, I can't. He says, come here. And he stuck me in his top pocket. He says, you can see it.
Welcome to Lilliput.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah. So here's some lovely strips to look at. The result,
Oh,
the result not the best. This was England versus Scotland, a 1-0 victory to England. But yeah, classic kits, some cracking players
Yeah.
there as well.
I was at this game.
I think I must have been as well.
This game was the Paul Martin.
Davy Neary's, and that's Ray Wilkins. I thought
Ray
so.
Wilkins, yeah, and Graham
Yeah.
Souness behind them by the looks of it.
Aye.
They've
Yeah.
got Trevor Brooken and George Burley there.
Yeah.
A couple on, yeah. There's Souness and
It was
Keegan.
it was a Paul Mariner goal. It was a header, and I remember before he died. He just died last year, I think.
Yeah.
And I tweeted him one day. I said, "You broke my heart." He put this up. He put one of these pictures up of him scoring the goal. I went, "That was my first Scotland game. You broke my heart."
1-0.
He kept in touch. He was great. He
Right.
was
that-
tweeting back in the
Hey,
message
good.
to go, "Yeah, I really appreciate that." And yeah, sorry I did that. Sorry I destroyed your childhood, but you know, lovely man by all accounts. And
Yeah.
and it was I just remember that England. I mean, although I'm Scotland daft, that England jersey was an absolute belter. The Admiral.
Yeah.
And I think
He-
Keegan subbed at that game as well. I think there was a big cheerio for Keegan when he came off.
All right. Aye. Well, Paul Mariner, he won a European medal with Ipswich.
Ipswich, yeah.
Yeah.
What a team Ipswich had then? Oh,
Bobby Robson's the manager.
yeah.
So we've got Alan Evans there with
Christ.
ages this with the
Didn't make that
sweatbands.
out, Andy.
Yeah.
Thanks for telling. I didn't know who that was.
So he's got a couple of
That's
sweatbands on round his
Aye.
arm, which were quite popular back in
Yeah,
that sort
yeah.
of period, weren't they?
Jeez.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a Dunlop football, which was very unusual for the
What a
time.
ball.
Yeah.
What a ball. It was a cup final ball as well, wasn't it? The Dunlop one. It was
Yeah.
a really good ball to use, apparently.
Yeah. What else we got here? Joe Jordan and Terry Butcher. That is some clash, that isn't it?
You know, aye. It's no half.
There's
But
Keegan.
both of them they were two that gave nothing. You know, it gave no quarter last
No
or
quarter
given.
they're given, yeah.
And in the background, listen, in the background, my first thought was that was Paul McStay, but would that have been too early for Paul McStay? Or would he have played there? My second thought is maybe it's George Burley as well.
82.
As John Burley,
Jane-
as George Burley.
He
I
came
don't
on
think
in
Paul McStay
84,
played with Joe Jordan.
Sorry, what was that, Andy?
I don't think Paul McStay played with Joe Jordan.
Right. I mean, Paul McStay was probably still playing in the Schoolboy International back then, wasn't
Oh,
he?
I think he was, I
Played
think he was
Saudi Arabia.
83, 84, his debut, his Scotland debut. It was around about then.
Yeah.
No,
I wonder who that is.
I remember Paul McStay playing in that game when they played Saudi Arabia, the under-16s. And the Scotland team were all waving to their mummies and daddies. The Saudi Arabians were all waving to their wains.
Exactly. He said it's something like it was. I think it was only the excuses up there at the time said, it was. And is this was something for the Saudi Arabians to tell their grandchildren about when they phoned them after the game? It's all guys with beards. Remember that?
Aye, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Simon, I do think that's George Burley. If we go back,
Yeah,
it's got
Burley,
George
I think, yeah.
Burley there on the left. So I think that's maybe him there as well.
Yeah, I
He's
think
the one that it could be. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alan,
I mean, but just iconic kits. The Scotland one, that shiny one with the piping down the arms, brilliant. And again, we spoke about this the other night as well. Just looking at the crowd nowadays, that would be a sea of football shirts,
replica
wouldn't it?
shirts, yeah.
Whereas back then, people just they
Yeah.
maybe wear a scarf
Right.
or a bonnet or something, but they would just wear their normal clothes.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a great atmosphere there.
Listen,
Magic.
we've done a focus on Andy Cameron before, but I thought we would just have a wee chat. What's happening with yourself, Andy? What are you up to at the moment?
Well, I'm in the process of moving into a new house. We got the keys last week. Move in next week. It's about 2 or 3 miles away in Jackton, East Kilbride.
Oh yeah, I know Jackton. You're moving into police college. They finally got you, have they?
You know the police college. You're right
Yeah.
across the road. Aye. And we're actually, Spencer, my son and his family, they're coming home a fortnight today from Dubai, and then
Really?
Elliot, they're coming home on the 23rd. So there'll be 11 of us under one roof, and I'm really looking forward to it, because I don't see them that often.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. Oh, absolutely.
That's it. Aye, it'll be great.
Is that for Christmas?
Aye, for Christmas,
Brilliant.
yeah.
Excellent.
And I'm basically retired.
Yeah.
In
Have
terms
you got a gig coming up? Have you not got a gig coming up? A live gig, something?
28th of January. And,
Yes.
and the what do you call it? The Gaiety Air. And I
Yeah,
did,
yeah.
and I've got a dinner next week in Liverpool, Crown Plaza in Liverpool next Wednesday.
Brilliant.
And I'm doing a thing for Duncan Coulthard, David Coulthard's father,
Yeah.
at Castle Douglas, down in the south of Scotland. But that's the day after it, and then that's me finished for Christmas. But it's getting to the stage now, you want to have a quiet life,
Mm.
I've got a dog that takes me out to walk every now and again, which is good.
And don't worry, we'll keep calling you up as well. There's other World
Well,
Cups
that'd be
to
good.
talk about.
That'd
Yeah.
be good. So,
Yeah.
I put it on Twitter the other day to all the Pantoland artists, break a leg, because the joy that Pantos bring to kids is fantastic. I loved doing the Pantos. It wasn't easy. It was hard work. But, there was a period in every season of Panto that for 2 weeks you did 3 shows a day, and it was hard going, because you would get on to the third show at night and you were doing a line. You went, "Have I done that already?" It's that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But of course, I still never forgive you for terrifying me. I think one of my first pantomime I ever was taken to, you were on with the skeleton guys that ran into the audience and then you came on in a half Celtic and half Rangers top.
Aye, that's right.
You would turn side to side and half the audience would boo and the other half would clap. It was brilliant. Absolutely.
You can get away with that, Simon. I used to do the names at the end.
Yeah.
You've got the UCM, Union of Catholic Mothers, right? And I used to say, right, if those of you who are no mothers, if you can run after the show, we'll see what we can do for you. There was one night. There was the Union of Catholic Mothers right at the back of the stalls. There was about 5 or 6 rows of them. Where are you? And they all go, "Oh," and I said, and we've got the Orange Lodge from Bell's Hill. I said, "Where are you?" And they were exactly just out there, the passage, right? I said, "Right, both of you stand up." So they all stand up. And I said, the Orange Lodge, I said, "Turn right." The Catholic Mothers, turn left. And they did it, and I went, "Right, charge." Things like that worked. But I don't think they do things like that now,
It's a different connection, I think, now with the audience as well. And it does get very commercial and things, but ultimately, I love it as well. Panto is just... this year, Panto is just the business, isn't it?
Aye, kids love it. They just love it. There was but I did a thing with Jimmy Logan and the Kings, and there was a guy. Oh, Christ, wait a minute, his name's there somewhere. But this guy was 6'6", right? Kildaff, Kildaff. He was well known in Pantos for playing the giant, and the baddie. And there was a bit in it where he had to grab me. I was Daft Willie. I thought I was getting away with it, and he creep up at my back. The usual. He's behind you, and I'm going, "No, where is he?" Next thing, he grabs my collar and he throws me about, and I says to him, "Look, what do I do with this?" He says, "What you do is," he says, "you go limp, just let yourself go, right?" And he's throwing me about the place, And suddenly your Elliot's voice comes through the stalls. You leave my daddy alone.
I'm surprised your dad didn't appear again with the taxi and grab him up against the wall.
Exactly.
You've always been protected, Andy. Always protected.
Always, aye. Jimmy Logan and guys like that who'd done a million panto. It was great to work with them, you know.
I'll bet, yeah.
Have you got anything lined up, Simon? Panto wise?
Yeah, a couple of things coming out. I got a wee award today. I got a Best Actor award for
Well done.
a horror film that's gone down Northwest Horror Fest. So I should be picking that up in April.
Well done, Simon. I always said, and I'm not buttering you up or anything, I always said you've got a great future. And I'd like to see you in a Hollywood movie because I think you could handle that. Well, especially what you learned off of me in High Road.
Exactly. I mean, interesting you say, you used to go limp because you used to go limp quite a lot with me and Glendarrick as well.
No, that was. My mind went limp.
Just call me Kildav.
I remember. What's her name? She played my wife.
Libby. Yeah.
Aye. Singer. And she had to slap me. and she said, will you turn? I said, no. I says, because of the sound, I says, I'll hear it. You got to make them hear it. I said, just slap me right in the face. Well, I'm not kidding you. Couldn't hear for about 3 weeks after it. She didn't miss me, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
We great fun on that High Road, didn't it?
Wasn't it just? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I still see Big Alan. Because I think he's doing Aberdeen Panto.
He's up at Aberdeen doing Panto, yeah.
Aye, I thought so. Yeah.
Yes, I still kind of keep in touch with a lot of them as well. So yeah, it was just great. It was great. It was great working with you all those years as well. Great fun. But unfortunately, Celtic weren't very good then, and Rangers were. So I missed when we started to win everything. High Road got cancelled, and I would have had you. I would have had you at that point.
Listen,
you got away with it, pal.
It's breaking up. It's time that it's breaking up. I don't know how the fit was going to know at all.
You are my Larson. By Henrik Larsson. Different days. It was great though, wasn't it? You were the
it's magic. Magic. Aye. And
we had Gordon Brown, the Partick Thistle, in the middle just to keep us apart.
I did a thing for him. No January before. For his wee daughter's cancer. And it was just a joy to see him again. The boy. It's in High Road. Winston plays Winston. What's his name?
In Stillgame.
Aye.
Paul Riley. Yeah.
Big Celtic man. And we're sitting talking. I was having a bottle of water. Mm-hmm. And he says, I remember you in the pavilion. And I says, oh, did you come and see the show? He says, no. He says, I was the spotlight guy.
Is that right?
Yeah. And he says, I've always wanted to be, and I think he's terrific. And
he was a very, I remember him at the Archers Theatre Company, sort of early 90s as well. Him and it was a great company. He was a great actor, and they did great stuff. I mean, again, that's another thing going back to the way Glasgow was and looking back that there was so many different theatre companies then, late 80s and 90s, and so many venues. There isn't that anymore. So for young actors. We all want to be in film and TV instead of going to learn it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just shows you.
So Tom, we can't talk about the 1982 World Cup without you getting your new book out.
Hey.
Yeah, plug my book. Yes, it's called "We Made Them Angry."
Right. Okay.
Scotland at the 1982 World Cup.
Brilliant.
Spain.
Well done, Tom. Yeah.
So if you want, do you want to talk a bit about that, Tom? About how it started and how you got the information that was in
it was my first World Cup, first one I watched on the telly. So it was the first sort of World Cup I sat down and watched with my dad. So I've got a lot of good memories of it, despite the fact Scotland showed me the sort of heartache that was going to be the
of course
standard.
They set you up, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it was fun to research and go back to. And I didn't speak to any Scotland players, but I spoke to a couple of the New Zealand players.
Yeah.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
I spoke to David Begg, who commentated on it, and Paddy
Yeah.
Bartley, who was covering it for the Guardian. But yeah, so I really enjoyed sort of delving into it.
It's
Can
such
I
a great title's brilliant, isn't it?
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Well, actually, Andy said earlier that one of his dad's heroes was Charlie Tully. Simon, was it Larson be your hero?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
In my time, best I've ever seen live. Lucky
Yeah,
happens.
Jimmy Miller was mine. So what about Tom? Who would yours be?
Kenny Dalglish.
It was something.
Without a doubt, it's Kenny Dalglish.
Aye.
My first Scotland game was his 100th cap.
Is that right?
Because I wanted to see Kenny before, because I knew he was sort of coming to the end of his career, so I wanted to actually see him in the flesh, you know.
Aye,
The
great.
presentation was a silver cap, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
with Beckenbauer presented him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez,
Yeah.
I'll throw mine. I'll throw mine out. Jim Gallagher. I think we all know that Jim Gallagher's mine.
Goalie.
Yeah.
Goalkeeper.
When you were over there, Andy, I think you were spotted in the terracing with Dave Sexton and Sean Connery at one point.
I was, aye, that's right, in 82.
Aye.
I was, yeah. Dave Sexton he managed Manchester United, but he also played for Chelsea and managed Chelsea at one stage. And my brother, big Chelsea fans, you know. It's amazing. Somebody takes your picture, they're not really aware of the impact it's going to have, you know. I just think football is the greatest sport in the world. But at my age, I'm glad I can play golf, you know, and still be active with it, you know.
Yeah.
But there's still this walking football, you know.
Mm.
I think Rangers maybe win the league at that.
Yeah.
Going back to Panto, Andy, I was going to ask you, did you ever work with Stanley Baxter?
No, I never worked with Stanley Baxter, but I took my kids to see one of his pantomimes, and I was disappointed because the kids fell asleep because it was a mannequin parade, right?
Yeah.
But if you took them to Ricky Fulton and Jack Mulroy's pantos, they were fantastic. The whole place was an uproar, you know. And Stanley's still alive.
Yeah.
What a wonderful, absolutely wonderful performer he is, you know. It was, and it's fantastic. But I never. Did you ask me if I met him?
If you worked with him, asked you if you worked
No, I
with him.
never worked with him, but I met him a couple of times. I met him a few times, and it's like, you know, the great Lex McLean was the guy that would encourage me to be a comic, and I never met Lex McLean, and, you know, in my life, and he died in about 72. He took a hemorrhage, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, you go back to all these guys. Footballers look back, and the footballers who gave them the drive to be a footballer, you know.
Yeah.
And it's the same with comics or singers, you know.
Yeah.
I remember Sinatra doing an interview, and who would be the guy that, you know, would shoot today. Like I said, he's a bit younger than me. He says, but he's got the best pipes I've ever heard. Sinatra, he was talking about. I've forgotten who he was talking about. No, it wasn't Al Martino. It was, it doesn't matter. It was one of them. It'll come to me. See, all of a sudden, I'll shout out his name.
In the morning.
That's
Phone me.
right.
Phone me later.
I give you a ring. Hello. By the way, it was... and when you think that Sinatra, one of the greatest entertainers of the 20th century, actually thinks that somebody else is a great singer, it's fantastic, you know. Vic Damone.
You always do stand up and things as well, Andy. When was the moment you started?
Simon, Vic Damone, just before I forget it. It was
Well
Vic
done.
Damone.
Well done. I don't have to take you to Copper Beach Nursing Home just yet. Reserve your space.
I
One
owned
more
one of
slip
the,
of the tongue, I'm taking you.
I owned one of the homes about 5 or 6 years ago. And wee woman was looking at me, and I went, "Do you know who I am?" She says, "No, but if you ask the matron, she'll tell you." So,
So how you to be?
what were you saying?
What was the moment you started when you started doing comedy? How did it go from being, was it a part-time thing to when was the moment where you actually went full-time? What was that moment? What was your break that way?
Well, let me tell you how I got started in the first the Rutherglen Glencairn Club. I was at a stag night there, right? And there was a lassie called Lee Anthony, who was the singer in a place called the Crazy Daisy in Sauchiehall Street. And she was there as a turn, right? So they put my name up to sing. And I went up and I started singing Delilah.
Mm-hmm.
But I started too high. So halfway through, I can't make it. And I said, I don't know where it came from, but I had all these gags in my head. Right?
Uh-huh.
And a guy came up to me afterwards and he says, "Do you never think of getting into clubs now? Working men's clubs were just burgeoning at that time."
Yeah.
And I said, "No, I couldn't do that." He said, "You did it tonight." You know, and I says, "What are you talking about?" He said, "I could get you work." He says, "That routine you did was terrific." And he gave me his phone number, and I phoned him on a Monday. He says, "I'm having a showcase at Cambusneth in Miners, which is just outside Wishaw."
Yeah.
He said, "If you come up," he said, "if you do 15 minutes," he said, "you might get some work at it, right?" So I got, and I said, there was 15 acts on. And I says, am I going to last? He says, no. He says, "I'll put you on third or fourth."
Mm-hmm.
I went on fourth, and I did 25 minutes, and I get 21 bookings at it.
Wow.
Yeah, well, he phoned me the next day at home, and he says, "I've got 21 bookings for you." You know, I thought he was kidding. And that's how it started. But then, when you're doing all it, and I said, I loved Hector Nicol. He would come on as a policewoman, you know. Aye. Oh, he says, "I was out 2 o'clock yesterday morning." He says, "Nick Orbals." He says, "This woman come round the corner with a wee boy would only be 4. She says, "What are you doing at this time in the morning?" She says, "I'm looking for my husband. My husband's disappeared." "Oh, right." And she takes a pencil, "Right, what does he look like?" She says, "He's 6'4" and he looks like Rock Hudson." And the wee boy says, my daddy doesn't look like that." She said, "Shut your mouth, who wants him back?" Right? And that stuck with me with Hector. But the fact that he had dressed up as a policewoman or else a traffic warden or something like that.
Brilliant.
So I'll dress up as a football hooligan because that was quite in the public eye at the time. And it just went like that. The next thing, I did a tribute to Lex McLean in 1976 in the Pavilion, and then I get my first panto. And then after Ali starting Army, I got the radio show, the 13-week series, the BBC, which lasted 15 years. So, and that, so I'm one of these people that, and I think everybody's like this to a certain extent. You get a turn, you've got to take it.
Yeah,
you know.
you don't.
Yeah. And when it's your turn to go. You know what I mean?
And did you then just build up an act then with that? So you must have been almost like Bomb Bunkhouse that way, the way you kind of store jokes away and things, you know?
It's not up here.
Was that written down or is that in the head?
It's on the head. I don't write down any. You know, I'm lucky I've got a reasonable memory, but I always point to the case of Jim Davison. I think Jim Davison's a fantastic comedian. His timing is perfect, you know. But now all he talks about is politics.
Yeah.
It's forgotten comedy. And I don't want to listen to him. I'm not interested in Tories or whatever, you know. Come on and be funny, you know. And it was funny. It was incredible. And there was all these great comics that were on the comedians.
Yeah.
And I had the pleasure of working with Mick Miller. Who, a fantastic comic, right?
So then at that point you build up. How long are you doing? Does it go from like you do 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then you've got your headlining?
First of all, Simon, you had to do 2 spots. You know, right? You do a spot, and then the bingo would come on. They're top of the bill, the bingo.
Yeah.
And then you would come on and do the last 20 minutes or 25 minutes. And then because you get popular, and you're a big attraction in the clubs. You say, I'll do an hour. That's it. You know.
Right.
But I would go in. I've seen me. I did a club in Dalkeith Miners, and I went on, and they had it done up like a nightclub. It was fantastic, and they loved comics. Some of them loved singers. Some of them loved comics.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that. And this was a comics club, and I went on, and it was one of these nights you could have clapped your fingers, and they would have laughed. You know, they were a great audience. And when I come off, the boy said, "Any idea how long you were on?" I said, "About an hour or something." He said, "An hour and 50 minutes you were on." And I wouldn't believe him. And then he says, "Look."
Wow.
But things like that happen, you know. There's other nights you go in and you're not on for a minute and 50 seconds, but there you go.
The rawhide nights, yeah, when they're throwing it to the time ago.
Good evening, get back in after. That's that, you know. Aye. It's like me, Johnny Casson, the Yorkshire comic, said, he says, "That's great." He says, "Come on." He says, the thing is, with singers, he says, they're shouting out, "Oh, give us Nessun Dorma." He says, you know, and he says, they don't shout at singers, "Back off, I've heard it." You know? He's a brilliant comic.
And again, it was a different world, wasn't it? Because there was so many clubs at the time as well.
Aye. And I'll tell you, do you know one of the biggest things that I remember about it? You were actually to kick under the cloud because there was a cloud of smoke. Everybody smoked, you know. And it was like the committee men.
Yeah.
They were doing the pit. They were doing 6 or 8 hours, 9 hours doing the pit. And you come off and you go, "Oh, that was brilliant. Jesus Christ." You had people laughing there for an hour. And you say, "What is it you do yourself?" "Oh, but the cold face of morning." You know,
wow. Yeah.
You go, and I would be getting more for that spot than he'd be getting for a week.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's why when the Miners site was on, I'd go through to Fife, you know, and do shows for them, maybe a midday and things like that, you know. And they never forget you for that, you know. That's why I've been in every prison. I've been in every prison in Scotland doing shows, right? You know, I'll never forget. I did Peterhead.
Serious?
I've got a fit my strip on and I'm right in the Tartan Tammy. And I found on the stage. "Oh, here is all right, wee man. You still running the Sovereign bus in Rugland?" And this was a group of guys that had got in jail for, you know, the troubles. Yeah. Oh, you get that guy. Yeah.
It's a home crowd. Eh?
It's a home crowd.
They're not all away games, Andy.
I'll tell you what, I went to Peterhead. The guy, John Milne, was the assistant governor. And he got transferred to Craig Inches in Aberdeen as a governor. So he phoned me one time after a radio show. He said, "I see you in Aberdeen this year." I said, "Aye." I was doing a week with Jim McLeod and Anne Lauren Gillis and His Majesty. And he said, "Would you come and do a lunchtime for us?" I said, "No problem, you know." So I said, "I'll come on a Thursday." So I turn up and I go, and this guy dives out the crowd. And he said, "A bit of paper. Mr. Cameron, will you say that on your radio programme for my mammy?" And I went, "What's your name?" George, "That's okay." And I stuck it down the Stoughton, football Stoughton, right? And he sat down and that was fine. And afterwards, they give you a cup of tea. And who comes in as a trustee to serve the tea? But George, right? "Thanks very much for sitting in." I'm going, "How does somebody like that finish up in prison?"
Yeah.
So when I said to Mr. Milne, I said, "How does somebody like that finish up in prison?" To John, he says, "Well," he says, "they get institutionalised, Andy." He says they get 30 days for putting a brick through a window, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of 30 days, they go out and they go to a phone box and they phone the fire brigade. "There's a fire here," and it comes up with no fire, it's me, another 30 days. And they keep doing that. He says, we actually got them. Now, I don't know if you remember this, the Peter McCann Model Lodging House, just off the Gallagher, what's the name of that?
Is it back in Campbell Street?
Aye.
Yeah.
Little Dove Hill, just at
Yeah.
the top of Little Dove Hill. And it was a fantastic new building. It was terrific. So they got him a room in there because it was near his mother, you know. And they give you a month's pay or whatever, and they give you a charity ticket for a train. So they take him down and they put him on the train at Aberdeen Station. And they come back and they're sitting having a cup of tea. And one of the warders says to John Milne, "Nae harm to George, but thanks, he's away, you know, because it's..." And phone rings. Mr. Milne lifts the phone. "Oh, yeah, that's me." No, he says, "You can't have him." He says, "We just put him on a train from Aberdeen to Glasgow." He says, "Fuck." Put the phone down. He says, "He's pulled the communication cord at Stonehaven. I want to go back to see Mr. Milne."
Oh, see?
Yeah, you know, and it's just sad stories like that, you know.
Yeah,
absolutely. You look at guys in there and you go, that could be me, you know. Just the rank break, the rank. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. People are a paycheck away from it as well at the moment. You know, things are tough. Yeah.
And other guys, you know, there's a big guy, but he played the accordion, right? So I was talking to John Milne after it in that particular occasion, and I says, "Well, what did he do? How's he in here?" He says, "He murdered his auntie and his uncle." What? He says, "He murdered his auntie and his uncle." He says, when he was 26 or something. I don't know why. You know, and I just left it at that, but you wonder how the world works. That's how it works.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of mental illness at the time as well, and lock him up. Lock him up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's a cheery end to that one.
No, I just wonder. No chance of getting my bed, by the way.
Aye. Listen, we'll just do this last one if that's okay, Andy. It's the Tartan Talk with Ali Dawson. So Ali has bid farewell to some teammates recently as they either move on from Rangers or have finished their playing career there. And these include Sandy Jardine, Colin Jackson, Alex Miller, Tommy McLean and Tom Forsyth. He says that Jaws was a big softie at heart. He was always over at injured opponents asking if they were okay and helping them to their feet. But he doesn't mention that he probably put them there in the first place.
Exactly.
Aye, would that. Tom Forsyth was one of the nicest guys you could ever meet. Lovely guy.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a story about Tom Forsyth?
Absolutely.
Tommy Docherty says Tom Forsyth and Martin Buckins comparing cart horse to thoroughbred. And they played England at Hampden. And they had a great game. And in the final minutes, Mick Channing got the ball in the penalty box, and Tom went in, tackled him, took the ball cleanly, and passed it out to whoever was outside right. I mean, Neverson spoke about it all over the papers, a great thing. And Tommy Docherty had made this statement. So that Rangers were flying to Vancouver the next day on one of these summer tour things after the season's finished. So John Greig and Derek Johnson decided, right, we'll play it so they get the purser on the flight. See that the speaker, can we speak to somebody? Aye. Says, well, could you tell Derek Johnson that there's somebody on the phone for him? No, Derek, Tom Forsyth. So we get Tom Forsyth down to the front of the cabin, right? And they're the next bit of the cabin, but they're sitting inside, you know, so that it can't be seen.
Aye.
And Big Tom says, hello. And Derek Johnson's good with voices. He says, hello, this is Frank Clough from the Daily Mirror. What can I do for you? I said, just wondered how you felt about Tommy Docherty's statement, comparing you with Frank Bucket as a crab horse. And he went, well, it's entitled to his opinion, you know. And he says, it's his opinion, I can't argue with him. And well, how did you get this number? Right? I said, well, if you look up the plane, you might see. So they looked out and went, yeah. Took 4 Rangers players to hold Big Tom down. Greggy says, everywhere we went in Vancouver, you had to watch because he was coming up at your back, pouring drink out, you know, that for what you'd done to him. It was a lovely guy. He's got a twin brother. Well, he had a twin. The twin brother's still alive, John. And he sat next to me in the Rangers, the members club for years and years. And he was a quiet, really, really quiet guy. You know?
Yeah. So another player he mentions, it's a quiet one as well, was Alex Miller. He says he was quite a quiet one. But
heck. But Alec Miller wouldn't swear, Andrew.
No.
Right.
You know how all the players swear? No, he just said flipping heck all the time.
Right.
Aye, that was his nickname, flipping heck.
But he mentioned that Tom Forsyth and Tommy McLean used to play bowls, and they were known as Tom and Jerry, which I love that. That's a great name for them. Tom and Jerry. Yeah. He talks about Sandy Jardine. He says, "What can I say about Sandy? Quite simply, he was one of the finest right backs I've ever seen. He had the skills of a midfielder and was an exciting sight when he roared into attack." And on Colin Jackson, he says he was a great servant to Rangers who got on quietly with the job. He was an unselfish teammate, and he helped Ali Dawson enormously when he first came into the team. So, you know, some real nice tributes there from Ali Dawson to absolute legends of the Rangers team. Or Scottish Games, never mind the Rangers team.
Ali Dawson was an absolute a lovely boy. Really, really nice. Really sad when he passed it away. He wasn't that old, I think he was about 60 or something.
Wow.
And he was just a lovely guy. And all that team, like Jardine, Alec Miller. Alec Miller was stone mad for squash. I used to play squash with him. I mean, I was knackered. It kept me fit, I'll say that. And he's just an absolute gentleman, Alec Miller. And by the way, a great record in football, not necessarily as a player, but as a coach. Got a European Cup badge with Liverpool.
Yeah.
I can't remember who. It was either, I think it was the French guy who was the manager.
Houllier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they thought a lot of him down there, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, Andy, thank you very much again for joining us for this. It's been an utter pleasure again. So thank you very much.
Perfect, by the way, Andy. That's me. I've got my milk run, so I'll just go and get a jacket on.
Don't forget the cold briquettes tonight, okay?
Oh, the cold Pele.
Nice one, Pele.
No,
listen, great to see you, Simon.
And you, pal.
All the best. You too, Tom. Good luck.
Yeah.
Cheers, Andy.
Take care, Andy.
Andy. Cheers. I'll get your phone. Cheers,
thank
pal.
you.
Anytime you want your ears worn, give us a shout.
Cheers,
Nice to see you. All the best.
Bye-bye.
Good night, guys.
Bye-bye. Bye.